Volunteer ombudsmen are community members from all walks of life who are passionate about improving the life for residents living in long-term care facilities. They're trained to work with residents and their family members to communicate concerns and resolve problems by providing advocacy, support, education, and empowerment. With me today is Robert Cochran. He's the District Ombudsman for Florida's Ombudsman Program, to explain more. And Robert, thanks so much for joining us. And you know, here we are, we have a loved one in an assisted living facility. So what exactly are the plans and guidelines that have to be followed by that facility?
Every year, the nursing homes and assisted living centers are seen by AARP, the Agency for Healthcare Administration, and there are specific guidelines put in place for their safety and welfare without doubt during hurricane season and throughout the year. So one of the very important parts is to make sure that through emergency management that their emergency plan has been done and has been accepted. This includes having a generator and any other way that they may have to protect their residents from any possible harm.
Okay, so we have that person in the facility. Now, as the family member, how do I kind of get in touch with the facility, or I check that all of these guidelines are being met?
The emergency management program that the nursing home has put in place, there's usually a binder that explains how they're going to handle any crisis or emergency that happens. That has to be renewed all the time. That is readily accessible for the family members to review. Once again, they will know they're going to be an evacuation going someplace else. What are they going to do if the power goes off? That is for them to review at any time. And without doubt, the administrative facility should discuss that with the family for any questions before something happens.
And I think that's the important part, is to do it before anything happens. And we're going to get into that in just a moment, because I know all of a sudden, here we are in Florida and we're watching the weather and those storm warnings start happening and we start thinking about this. But I also didn't realize that because of environmental control rules for nursing homes and assisted living facilities, they require a specific space requirement for each resident when they're brought into a common area or a safe area. So how exactly does this work? And also, how are they transported there? Kind of the nuts and bolts of what happens when this disaster warning happens. Also related to, like, are there still COVID-19 precautions in place?
Well, first, I'm going to work at it backwards. Without doubt, personal protective equipment is provided for all residents and staff, including masks and gowns, just in case there's a COVID someplace, if they're going to be transported someplace else, or if the whole group is going to get together. I mean, residents may be moved from their private rooms into larger areas to better monitor situations, just in case something could come flying through a window. Once again, their safety is going to be put into place that way. Staffing oftentimes is increased, pretty much as an all hands on deck. Everybody's going to show up because the focus remains the safety and well-being of that resident. There are special emergency food and water that is in place, once again, for at least 3 days to help them with the nutrition, and all their medications are provided at that time also, and that is always brought with them if they're going to be moved any place.
Oh, absolutely. And now there's also the possibility, what if I want to bring my loved one to my home? You know, I feel maybe a little better about having them actually in my home rather than somewhere else. What are those procedures?
Very, very important to let the facility know as soon as you made that decision. They will assist perhaps by backing up some of your mom's clothing or items, something like that. They will be able to sign off the medication that he or she is on, just to make sure that they're continuing. Definitely the medication goes on. For example, a diabetic may need syringes or insulin, things like that. But it's very, very important. They will let them know, give them the address, where you're going to be taking them, how long you expect them to be with them. And I'm sure the facility will want to know, are you going to be safe at home with them? Are there anything that we perhaps can provide for you, and go from there? But definitely call in advance and make that appointment to get mom or dad safely away from the nursing home and into the home.
And you've said it again, do these things in advance. You know, I think every hurricane season we get those little warnings about, you know, make sure you have batteries and your flashlights and all of those details. But then we don't think about really taking that next step for our loved one who might be in an assisted living facility and getting in there ahead of time to see what are the procedures there.
One concern also would be if the highways and the roads are suddenly shut down and you're on your way to get mom or you're on your way to get back, without doubt, plan ahead. Plan ahead. Get any emergency numbers from the facility if you need them. Many administrators always give their personal cell phones. Everything is asset for the resident.
Absolutely. Now, there's also, we hear those stories about, evacuating vulnerable or frail seniors, that, things can happen and it's kind of dangerous for them. So what precautions do facilities have on hand to really keep them physically safe?
Well, I think one of the most important parts, the facilities plan to stay in place versus evacuate. Definitely, we may have facilities, like say, that are right on the water, because we cover Brevard County also. That might be a reason they may have to move, but they're assisted communities. But once again, all the staff will be there to come and to comfort. Once again, to extend the healing hands of themselves to help that resident with their transition. By explaining what is going on as complete as possible, can make it safe, etc. There may be even families who may wish to help out. Volunteers come in. There are different agencies that also help out to allow this to be a safe process. But yes, there's always a possibility, but we try to be as optimistic as possible if we have to do an evacuation. Also, Department of Health and Adult Protective Services may assist also.
Absolutely. And I know your organization is all volunteers. So as I mentioned, they're from all walks of life. And, I'm sure you're always looking for more folks to help out with the program.
Oh my goodness, there's a great need. I mean, even during the pandemic, we've had new buildings open, new residents move in, etc. It's a continuing process. I call it the labor of love. You really do get touched by the residents. They share their journey of life with you, and it's just important to let them know that they're not alone on their journey, and we're there for them.
Absolutely. And thank you, Robert. Thank you to the Florida Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program for being our guest. And remember to contact them if you have any questions or concerns about your loved ones in long-term care. Stay tuned.